Hello, I'm Stanley Lucian. Welcome to the HTS Epoll. It's your opportunity to weigh in on the most pressing issues of the day. The 29th United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP29, underway in Baku, Azerbaijan, is approaching its end, with the developed and developing nations far apart on the issue of climate financing. The developed nations call for a $1.3 trillion annual fund to help their adaptation and mitigation efforts. The developed nations, led by the United States and Canada, are not moving beyond their $100 billion annual fund, which was pledged over a decade ago. So we ask, will developed nations make a significant financial contribution to help developing nations cope with climate change? We took to the streets to get your opinion, and here's what you had to say.
The world leaders are not taking climate change seriously because you can see they promised to pledge money to the smaller nations, and up to now they haven't done it, and this year was the hottest year in history. So what do you think is happening? They're not serious.
The main pollutants are not contributing to the international agreements. So that's one. So now the second tier of the world, I don't think we are doing sufficiently on a micro scale and even a macro scale as far as some of the small countries go, in terms of putting the necessary legislation or even actions that are needed to combat or to try to get the population so in tune with what is important or what is needed to fight or for us to overcome some of the issues of climate change. For example, if we have to look at St. Lucia, for example, what other legislation that we have enacted to assist or to fight or to combat or to do anything as far as climate change go? I mean, look at our rivers. Are we doing any river rehab? 20, 40 years ago, we were, how many years? We were in forestry. We planted lots of forest trees around the island. But are we looking at even building construction? How do we construct our houses? The rivers, as I mentioned, the sea, and all those areas are areas that impact on climate change. What are the legislation or legislative instruments that are enacted to combat climate change?
They are not taking it seriously, and they should do that. They don't keep their promises. We would like them to take those things more serious. Okay? Yeah, this year was the hottest, and we recorded it. It's the hottest, and they are the ones the cause of it. See, they played nature. Okay?
Because every time they meet at COP, it's endless of talk, discussions, everything, and I believe by the time they leave the place, they forgot all what that has been discussed, all what that has been said. And sadly, we in the Caribbean, we paying the price. We saw what happened in St. Vincent, Grenada earlier, and this year has been recorded as the hottest year on record. So we feel the effects of climate change, but we could see that the world leaders, they are not serious. It's endless of talk, but no action.
The world leaders had promised 10 years ago, and then they never do nothing because they never help the small countries. Because remember, they said they would have helped the small countries. Trump came into power, and Trump said, like, he never believed in climate change. And right now, people seeing everything climate change and everything getting different. Look at we in November and them kind of rain. You could see climate change.
I don't think they're serious in addressing, and I don't think there's anything they can actually do to affect climate change. But one thing they can certainly do is, with the resources that they have, they can assist the so-called third world countries when they are affected with disasters, and they can meet them halfway, help them build back and do things that are resilient for future disasters. But to change, it will take too much because the damage has already been done. It's now irreparable, but there is something they can do to cushion those who have been affected.
I think it is incumbent on the world leaders to honor the promise at the Paris Accord a couple of years ago with regards to climate change. The issue, the carbon footprint of those countries are overwhelming. The smaller developing nations are only about 2% carbon emission. So you owe these smaller countries, as promised, support system to ameliorate situations as when necessary. It is important, imperative, that a social conscience must be extended to allow the smaller nations, because they're only a minute part of that percentage at destroyed. The ozone layer is rapidly depleting, and then the impact of global warming as to the seabeds. I mean, this year was the highest as it relates to temperature within our seas. That would kill the flora and fauna of our environment. So it is imperative that those nations honor, because they are the culprits of destruction of the environment.
Well, some of the leaders are, especially the European leaders, they are very serious, but you get some who are not committed and not serious. Particularly, they look at the costs, or they have to contribute towards the fund to combat climate change. So you find on that basis, you have all these drawbacks and reverses on whatever progress that's been made. But if everybody come on board, especially the Americans, if they come on board with the rest of the world, you find that I think there'll be a positive impact and a positive change to the world climate, and we'll see quite a lot of differences.
Thanks for those responses. And now to our new discussion. St. Lucians were shocked by the brazen use of lethal force in broad daylight on the Derek Walcott Square on Monday. One man was injured and another killed when an assailant and his accomplice, the two riding on a motorcycle, fired upon two men, killing one and seriously injuring another. This incident came against the backdrop of the release of the crime statistics from January to October 2024, which list guns as the most common weapon in the commission of homicides, with most of them originating from the United States. Law enforcement officials have noted that most of the guns are brought into St. Lucia through official ports of entry, with the barrels suspected as the main means used to import guns into St. Lucia. So we ask, should the barrel concession program be reviewed? Voting is easy. Just log on to htsstlucia.org and vote. Remember, our Epoll team is always on the go to get your responses as well. Watch the HTS News Force from 7 p.m. for the results and the new discussion.